Good morning and welcome back to the Now Morning Show, where inside your spotlight, we observe the meaning of Lent and the purpose of fasting.
More than one spiritual path is currently going through spiritual observances meant to build character as they make time to reflect on what is really important in this life. And we're grateful to Father Matthew Derriere, who has made the time to discuss the meaning of Lent and fasting with us. Thank you so much for being here, Father Matthew.
Thank you for inviting me. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
And I think it's interesting, but I want to ask you, though, what do you think is the larger significance of that combined community fasting? This is through Lent and through the month of Ramadan, and in terms of like that combination in Trinidad and Tobago this time.
Of course, it fosters some sort of unity because at the end of the day, we are all human beings, and fasting is important for us as a civilization, for human beings. And if we can fast with our brothers and sisters in Islam, and we can see that commonality, that there is something that links us. Our humanity to go back to God, our humanity of just recognizing that excess is something that we must deal with as a society. Because fasting says, there are times that we need to put limits on ourselves. There are times that we need to think of others who do not fast by choice, but by circumstances. The hunger pangs of a Christian fast or Muslim fast reminds us that there are people who go without and they don't know where the next meal is coming from, and there's a link with almsgiving, because the idea is that we fast, we save money for meals, and we give alms to the poor. So there's a beautiful both individual and social dimension of fasting.
But the fact that you speak about social and the society that we're in, it feels sometimes as though we are in a society that tries very hard on a consistent basis to make things easier. So how does the concept of sacrifice come in terms of consciously doing without? How does that work in today's society?
Well, it's something we have to call people back to from a basic personal choice, that there are times that I cannot have everything that I want, because when I want to always live in excess, always want all my needs satisfied when I want them, how I want them, there's any delayed gratification. And delayed gratification is important for marriage, is important for work, is important for education, is important for study, character building. There's a moral maxim that says, not because I could, I should. And that is so important. We could do all sorts of things because of power. We could do all sorts of things because of technology. But if I really think, is this hurting somebody else? Is this abuse of governmental power? Is this abuse of technological power? How is this helping society? It may help my bottom line, but it is not helping society. It's not building my own character. So fasting has to be seen as something that is beautiful for the soul, beautiful for culture, beautiful for society. And I want to make an appeal to young people that we can fast. We can fast. DK, you can fast. And it's something that you will look forward to, because it's a cleansing of the body, a cleansing of the mind. It lifts your spirit, because you're doing it for God and for the glory of God. You're doing it for your own soul journey, your own soul searching, because you put a lot of things into perspective when you fast. You give up, you self-sacrifice. You get the self out of the way. You're able to say, I can put a limit on this. I don't have to.
But body, mind, soul, where should the focus lie? Because I think sometimes people pay a lot of attention to what it is they're putting into their bodies. So I'm going to do without this. I'm going to not take part in this. Is that where the focus should lie? Is it a matter of going deeper beneath the surface, doing some of what people like to talk about shadow work, in terms of like going into issues that you may have before? So And sometimes we don't necessarily want to deal with those things, so we have them very deep, we have them suppressed, or we have them compartmentalized, so we don't see them at all. How should we treat with this time?
Well, the human person is a composite of body, mind, and soul. And yes, there are times that we reflect on our inner being, reflect on our body. I wouldn't want to create a dichotomy between the three, because your mind, Jesus speaks about, St. Paul rather, speaks about putting on the mind of Christ. When we talk about our bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit. Jesus encouraged us to fast. And so you really want to talk about going in. Your mind takes you into your inner self. Your fasting, when you discipline the body, you look at things that we do bodily that affects others. We do look at things that bodily that affects ourselves.
And sometimes it feels as though people are saying, okay, well, I need to do this temporarily, and I'm getting ready to jump out of it. It's almost as though the child they start to behave a fortnight before Christmas, hoping that they get everything. And saying, okay, well, we're going to be getting what it is we need to out of. That temporary aspect, is it a matter of people saying, okay, well, I know I'm doing this for just a short period of time, and then I slingshot back? Or do they try to build on what it is they would have gained over the period?
Well, of course, fasting is a discipline. And if you become a disciplined person during Lent, that discipline carries over to the rest of your life, the rest of the year. As I said, the social dimension of fasting, if you become generous because of your fasting and less clutching and grasping of things, that takes over because it builds your character. And your character carries over for the rest of the year. So that the fasting is an intense way of, it's like gymming. Don't you gym, DK?
I try very hard not to.
So it's like that. When you leave the gym, over a period of time, your muscles don't die automatically. You have muscle memory. And that's fasting is like that. It's like the muscle memory that takes us into the rest of the year.
And in terms of muscle memory, a lot of us have the muscle memory of grabbing for a phone or device. In terms of balancing that kind of level of digital engagement, how does the technology, the devices, the social platforms, how do those possibly help or possibly hurt the fast and that level of sacrifice for Lent?
Well, I'm encouraging in the Northern Vicariate and wherever I can, fasting buddies. So I'm asking Catholics or anybody, even if you have Muslim friends, Muslim family, say let's use a chatter to encourage one another to fast. In social psychology, we call it social facilitation. Sometimes, I know, DK, if you enter a chat with me, a fasting buddy chat, and you want to go down by the roti shop, I say, no, DK, we fasting today.
And to continue on that, in your experience, does it help knowing that you're literally not alone in terms of this period and what it is you're trying to do, how it is you're trying to build? Because you say that, and you say fasting buddy, and I think of study buddy. So in terms of saying, okay, well, yes, it's not just me going through this, it's not just me feeling this, even though it's by choice.
Exactly, because we encourage one another. And if the social element of fasting, so that we encourage each other post Easter, post the end of Ramadan, we encourage one another, okay, that if I became generous, can we do something for society? Can we do something for an NGO or CBO? Because it's really crossing the line, as I said, getting the self out of the way. It's a beautiful religious practice, spiritual practice, to get the self to transcend the self towards a better society. The book of Amos speaks about why do you do business on your fast days. The prophets of Israel were very clear that fasting must lead to a change of life, must lead to justice, to the non-exploitation of workers. So that fasting builds up the person's character, but has a social character. and or should build social character.
Speak to the person who almost wants to make a show of it. And I say make a show of it because I think it's in Matthew where they talk about if you're fasting, don't be going around with your face long, put oil on your face. So who are we doing it for? Is it doing it for show? Is it doing it for a higher purpose?
It's always a higher purpose. That when we look at the life of Christ, I like to say Christianity is an inside job. Jesus called us inside because the externals, they'll only last for a while. And if we're doing something for sure, it means that our motivation is about the praise of human beings, and not really for the praise and glory of God. And is lacking in depth when we do things for show. Other parts of our character, pride and hubris and these things are built up when we do things for show. But when we do things of the purity of heart, we as a person, we grow and we blossom.
And in terms of that blossoming, we have about 2 minutes more, Father Matthew. So we listened to the insight from you, various speakers over the entire Lent. People may be going to retreats. There's the Easter Triduum, and we're on that high. He is risen. What are some of those things we should be looking at and an advice you'd want to give in terms of transitioning back to that time, that period outside of Lent?
Well, Lent prepares us for Passover, for Easter. What do we want to pass over from? What are some kinds of things in our lives as a society, as church, as family, as marriage, as relationships? Is there domestic violence? Is there greed? Is there laziness? What kind of vices, antisocial vices, anti-person vices that we really want to have a handle on, to deal with effectively? Because at the end of the day, fasting is not an end in itself. It is a preparation for something else, for the kingdom, for self-mastery, for transformation. And so when we talk about going back, it's about a lifestyle change. Huh? So a lifestyle change in many dimensions of our lives. So if you say that you want to fast for 20 years, and over this period of time, you look at changes in your life that you would like to embrace in and through fasting. So my advice to people is, where is the Passover? Where do you want to see change post-Easter?
And take me, I think we have a little time. Take me back to that fast buddies. Thank you. How are you setting it up?
Well, I'm encouraging people on my status almost daily to ask them to corral friends and family and say, okay, 7 of us or 5 of us, we are in this group together, and they decide the terms of engagement, if you wish, whether it's Monday to Friday, whether it's Wednesday and Friday, what meal is going to be skipped, how they're going to accompany the prayer, the fasting with prayer, how they're going to accompany the fasting with almsgiving, are they going to calculate how much money they have saved from their fasting, which organization are they going to give it to? Are they going to give a meal to a homeless person, or the hidden poor? There are a lot of people who can't afford groceries because of the high cost of living. Are they going to seek out a family and reach out to them and say, okay, well, this is something that I want to give you?
I appreciate the fact that in addition to the work that is being done inside, there's a work that is being done in terms of engaging the community as well. And it's so important as opposed to just saying, yeah, boy, I saved some money. What are we going to do with this?
Well, you know, there's a saying in the scripture, saved to serve. We are saved by Christ to serve, but we save money to serve. We don't save money for our stocks and shares to go up. We save in Lent, we save towards the common good.
And in terms of that common good, we want to thank you very much, Father Matthew, for giving us something to look at and saying, okay, well, it could be a little more, because sometimes we just think fasting and we stay on the surface. But in terms of going a little deeper than that, we want to thank you so much. And we want to thank you for tuning into the Now Morning Show. Stay with us. We return after this.